Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Henning Pauli here. Today we're talking about MIDI, but don't be scared because it's actually simple this time and tiny. What? The guitar is really just for looks. Nice Fibonacci, which in the previous take of this I called a Fibonacci. Similar thing. I'm going to put this away for a second. Talking about this. You can barely see it. It's a scribble from Pirate MIDI. Now I saw this and I was like, okay, intrigued. That could be super cool. But how complicated is it? And what does it even do? Let's put it this way. At the very least, what this can do is make you shut the fuck up about not knowing things on MIDI pedals like presets and what's behind what you send to it because they don't have screens. Like the universal audio pedals. They don't have screens. And you're sending a MIDI signal to it, let's say a program change, and that's all good, but you don't even sometimes see that something changed. The only indicator that something might have changed is if a cab was different. So, did the MIDI message arrive? Did it not arrive? Who the fuck knows? Scribble knows and Scribble tells you. Well, not this one because you can't see anything. It can act as a screen, so you technically just use it as a little screen that responds to MIDI program changes. At the very least. There's so much more. So you'd send a MIDI message to your UA pedal or any pedal, and then a program change to this. Let's make it the same program change because that makes it easier. And so that tells you program change 1 that I sent to both pedals from my big MIDI switcher. And then you just in the editor define what the words are that appear on it. And that will help me to see that the lion in this case, can't read lion anymore because the scribble's on it, right now is on a cleanish preset, or on the brown devil, or on the moon clean, or whatever you want to call it. And here they're just called presets because I made 4, and that's about all I did. So it can act as a monitor to give your pedal some very much needed insight, or insight into the pedal. And you can see, you could even put chord progressions on there to just remind you, oh, that's how that verse goes. Neat. Or you could say this is what it's for. You also could not have any text there at all. This is for the pre-chorus. Here, it'll remind me what the buttons do. Okay, so right now, the left and right buttons are actually sending program changes. This isn't just a screen. A very affordable screen. This is also a full MIDI controller, sending up to 8 MIDI messages. Program change, note off, control change, you have it, note off, note on, pitch bend, whatever you want. So right now I've got a program to simply send a program change corresponding to its own preset number. So preset number 4 will send program change number 4, which makes it very easy, which means even if I haven't programmed anything, I just stored something there because I sent the program change. I got something different on 11. You can see the cab changing, and I got something different on 12. So with this thing, without ever going into the UAFX app, you could just go and have 128 presets on your line without ever going into the app. Go to whatever preset you want, set it up, store, and that's it. Isn't that neat? And you could have this on each one of your UAFX pedals. Of course, not just UAFX, but right now we're going to go into UAFX because. Now, for example, the Galaxy from UAFX doesn't have presets, so you can't do that. But what you could do is put a scribble on here, right? Wire it up. And go into the app, and actually, because it can send 8 MIDI messages, make a preset, which you copy to each one of the presets here for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 parameters. And then you go into the app, just punch in the values that you want. And with a Galaxy or a Max or a Delver, which don't have presets, you could make presets using continuous controllers. So this would be absolutely possible. But you're saying, well, First of all, how does it work with UI effects? Because they don't have MIDI in, they've got USB in. Okay, we're going to get into that in a second, but you're going to say, well, but I don't have those, so why do I need a Scribble? Do you have a D1, which also doesn't have a screen? Well, actually now the Mark II version has a screen, but not as good as a Scribble. You could put a Scribble right there. You'd have to prop it up in the back a bit because there's a bit of a ledge there, but you could. And wire it up, bam, all of a sudden you've got loads of presets and full visibility. What about Chase Bliss? These things are made for Chase Bliss. Look at this. It absolutely perfectly fits between the lights and the switches. And I will show you, absolutely not really interfere with the cables. So in the editor, you actually have a library of all Chase Bliss pedals with all parameters. You don't really have to learn MIDI at all. So this works. You could have one on your Therme for presets, for, seeing what's happening. All cool. What about an Iridium? Yep, it would work. It minimally blocks the lights. I checked it, but it would work. And I mean, you can barely see the black one. And all of a sudden, you've got a screen for your Iridium. Clearly, this works for a lot of MIDI devices. Would you like to see what preset you've got selected on your Nano Cortex? Put it there. I mean, you got to run the cables. Okay, there's a way to do that. And all of a sudden, you've got a screen. Now, with the Nano Cortex, for example, you would have to have a MIDI switcher on the board, sending MIDI into Scribble through to the Nano Cortex to change presets. Or you change presets on the Scribble, which is also, I mean, that's your whole setup, Scribble and this. But in order to see what's happening, you will have to switch presets on Scribble to send to the Nano Cortex, which makes sense. And you also have 128 presets. But you can't switch on the Nano Cortex and then see what happens, because the Nano Cortex doesn't send out MIDI. It only gets MIDI in. So anything that only gets MIDI in, you will have to either use Scribble as a screen or switch on it itself. Foot switching then won't work because Scribble doesn't get information from the Nano Cortex. Quick full disclaimer, why am I holding up the black one and it's not lit up? They sent me to, I worked with this for a few minutes, and then the power supply or something in it broke. Now, I talked to them, they assured me they've tested a whole bunch of them, and that's the first time they're hearing of it. All good. Obviously, if that happens, money back. Obviously, if that happens, new one on the way. Couldn't do it for this video because came from Australia. It took a week and a half or 2 weeks, got stuck in customs. Okay, that happens. But full disclosure, I had a 50% failure rate, but they didn't. That's the story. It comes, well, let me show you quickly in the box what it comes with, and then we talk about it. So they come with these little screens, which aren't necessary, but they make it a little bit nicer and shinier. So you can tape that screen on there. It also standard comes with an adhesive. It wasn't in my box. These are, pre-production. So on it, and I'm going to use their pictures here, you've got a MIDI out and a MIDI in. They're not labeled, and it took me a while to figure that out, because also I had to figure out whether it's the mini type B or A. So there's a lot of points where you can go wrong. Is it your software? Is it your MIDI programming? Is it the wrong output? Is it A/B? But then I eventually got it to work. This is Simon. This is interesting. Hey Simon, firmware update coming out tomorrow, fixing one of the bugs I found. Easy. Simon Glover from Pirate MIDI. Hi Simon. Thank you for the message. MIDI in out, but that's of course the tiny MIDI. But for that, obviously there are cables. They are not included, but either you already have them or just order a bunch, not just one, order a bunch from the website. He said they're like $4. So this is really not too expensive. The mini plug to either a big 1/4 inch or mini to MIDI. And that of course then gets me in and out or through. And in the app, which we're going to see, you can actually define what goes through. Does it only go through to the USB or the Bluetooth? Ah, yeah, the thing has MIDI out, DIN. It has USB MIDI out USB MIDI in. It doesn't output. No, it doesn't. No, that's wrong. It does, but it doesn't act as a server, I think, as a host. It cannot yet act as a host. This might be a Mark II upgrade in a year or two, because I pointed out it would be so cool if this could trigger the UA pedals independently, but it cannot. It needs a host for USB, but it has USB MIDI, can also be powered through USB, and it also has Bluetooth MIDI, which I did nothing with, but magically in my studio, because I got a little MIDI splitter that has Bluetooth MIDI from CME, it automatically connected and will act on it, and I will show you that. So these cables do not come with it, but order some as you buy yours. What comes with it is a power cable, because obviously you can't put a full 9-volt power on there, but it comes with a power cable. So let me show you how I wired this up. Let's go to the pedal side cam here. This is power, and you could nicely tuck that in. With the Chase Bliss pedals, they actually nicely hang to the side, and it's relatively easy to wire this up with everything and tuck away the cables to the side. Now, if your pedal is wider, I recommend maybe not using the angle plugs, but maybe using straight plugs. But you can see here, I could actually get that happening nicely, unless I wanted access to the MIDI in. Here, you can see I have power, 9-volt, would also power with USB. This is MIDI out, going into an H2 MIDI by CME, which simply takes the standard MIDI in and converts it to USB MIDI. And you can see if I'm switching anything here, I've got lights showing me that things are happening, and the USB is going into the Lion. I could hook up a hub and actually control 8 of these pedals with one of these. Or maybe put one on each and have feedback over what's actually freaking happening on the pedal. Okay, the possibilities are pretty endless here. Since it also does Bluetooth MIDI, you could use CME WIDIs hooked up to your pedal and have this thing remote. Apparently also it doesn't work by itself. You need one of the hubs or whatever. But it does work with the CME Bluetooth MIDI stuff, somehow, magically. And that would allow you to actually have a scribble on your music stand and go click, click, next, back. All you need is a USB power bank, a tiny one. Put that on the back of the scribble and you've got a remote controlled tiny little MIDI switcher. That's possible. Now, here you see the blue light, which means it actually is connected with Bluetooth MIDI. When it gets normal MIDI input, the orange light will flash. So let me show you something funny. Over here, I have my MIDI switcher from Mortrix, and that is going into a splitter, which is in the back. Don't know if you can see this thing. And that seems to have Bluetooth MIDI. So you can see I'm switching presets here. I programmed nothing. That's just random. I mean, that's accidentally. I program presets here. That are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. And they go to the CME MIDI splitter, which also has Bluetooth MIDI. And it's sending Bluetooth to this. And look at this. It's working. Whatever that is 53. That's a bit weird, but okay. So you can see that this could easily work Bluetooth to your pedals. That's pretty damn cool. In which case, actually, this would be your setup. So, for example, I am sending MIDI to my UA pedals and these pedals. I'm sending MIDI to all of them from this, right? So in terms of actually switching presets on them is already happening. So I wouldn't need the scribble except for I want to see what's going on, right? I want a screen. And all you have to do for that is tape it to this thing and give it power. And now it doesn't do anything other than show me what's going on, because it's the MIDI part would be coming from my switcher to my UA pedal, right? So in terms of switching the pedal, my big switcher does that. But on each individual pedal, you have beautiful feedback over what's actually happening. But as I said, there's so much more. Now I've got MIDI going into my CME H2 MIDI, converting to USB, which for other pedals like those you wouldn't need. You just need this cable going in here, and they're actually working on very, very short cables where you literally just have this happening. Many different ways of connecting. I'm realizing this video is confusing, but that's because MIDI technically is confusing. But I want you to understand how cool this is. And given the price, freaking joke. In a good way. So what I did here, we've got a cleanish sound, and you see when I'm switching, it's actually switching the presets up there. You can see that. You can see that. You can see that. Let's get a couple of sounds here, just for fun. Here's a cleanish sound. Nothing else programmed there other than just program change, right? And it's actually an automatic program change. I didn't really have to program it because I set it up to do the corresponding number to the line. Here, if I'm holding long, I program the line to go up and down in caps. So down. Look at this. I mean, it's a dumbass thing to do because I could literally just flick the switch, but it is a nice thing to visualize to you what is happening, right? Because everything else would be under the hood and you wouldn't be able to see it. So you could do on long press up to 8 MIDI messages, whatever you want. You could also program it to not switch presets when you're pushing the buttons, and then a short press also has a function. So what if you're switching it remotely with your switcher or whatever, then turn the preset switching off, then each of the presets there could have 4 different functionalities, each of them sending 8 MIDI messages. That's pretty cool, having that directly on your pedal. That reverb, I was very, very confused earlier. That's actually the room of the line. Now, what if I want the boost on? For that, I would have to go to Alt and turn that on and all that stuff. Or I hold this in, send a continuous controller. For some reason, I have to do it twice. So you could access hidden functions on your pedal by just pushing the buttons on your Scribble, giving these pedals and many other pedals a lot more functionality. And what if I want to turn one of the dip switches in the back on. If this is on a pedal board, this is a freaking nightmare. And with my eyes, I can't even read this anymore. So you would be able to access your favorite dip switches by pushing the buttons. It's MIDI. Anything is possible there. I mean, anything's possible that's possible with MIDI on your pedal. Now we get to the good part before we get to me actually showing you the full editor. There's a long ass video. This thing, as far as I know, is $59. Let me double check. One scribble is 59 US dollars, which in euro is less now. Guess why? 4 scribbles, which is probably what you should be having, and what they should have sent me, cheap bastards, 219 US dollars. And 8 scribbles are $3.99. So that'll be $50 a scribble. Killer price, really cool original product. It gives these pedals so much more functionality. It gives the UA pedals, which actually really wasn't hard to set up at all. With that H2 MIDI from CME and the right cables, Bob's your uncle. Relatively straightforward. You could go in, do your presets and whatever you want to do in one scribble and then copy it to all the others and just make changes. Because a lot of the continuous controllers, for example, are similar on the amp pedals and so on and so on. But okay, let's do this. Let's be super boring with this video. Let's go into the editor for the next, 15 minutes, and I'll show you everything that's possible. Okay, I'm in my office now, and I'm going to show you this Scribble editor, which is really where most of your work is going to happen when you're configuring things and you're making your setup work. You can't actually edit on the tiny thing, which makes total sense. So it's a web editor, doesn't cost you anything, doesn't have to install anywhere, and as long as you got a USB connection, you could literally do this anywhere as long as you got internet. So you could start from a template, but I already made some presets. I'm going to show you what I did. You could import it from a file. Okay, so you could, of course, once you've got your whole setup done, export that, maybe import it into a new one, or save it for the future. I'm going to import it from the device because it's connected with USB-C. Of course, if you have it connected with USB-C right now, which you have to have so that you can edit it, you wouldn't be able to have it connected with USB-C to send MIDI to it. So to test it within your system, if you're using the USB-C capability, you're going to have to disconnect that, program it, and then connect it to test, which would be a bit of a pain in the ass. Right now, I'm running MIDI out to the Lion, and USB-C is only used for the editor. Could also be used for power, which could be very convenient, especially in a setup where you already have USB-C power running on your board. So here are presets, and here you can click back and forth. We're going to start with preset 1. It, of course, loops around to 127. You can operate it kind of from here, but it is not real time. If you want to see what happens in your system, you're going to have to send it to the device and then test. So this is a dry run without your MIDI devices doing anything. When you click on one of the buttons, it gets you to programming the button. I'm going to say save and close. But you can see we've got external MIDI clock right here. This is program 1. The 2 different colored dots show you MIDI going in, either actual MIDI or Bluetooth MIDI, which is also actual MIDI, but you get the idea. And now you can scribble. Instead of cleanish, you can say cleanish sound. That's a bit too long. Clean sound. Bam, done. And then here, I actually did a little bit of a hint as far as chords go. If I wanted more chords, I can, of course, say C major 7, F, E minor, A minor. And bam, I have kind of a little bit of a cheat sheet, and it might only be used for that. So you're sending MIDI to it, giving it a program change, and it actually goes to those chords. You could, if you are running a DAW, send it program changes for each part of the song, Is it possible? Absolutely. Is it a lot of pain in the ass to program that? Yes, but you could. So running from a DAW that goes through your song, some bands have that. You could have a scribble on the floor, and for each part of the song, it actually gives you the chords. It's just a chore for someone to do, and that's it. And it's not updated yet. I would have to hit send to device. So we're going to go back to Cleanish. You can do the same thing here, rename it, and looking at my 4 presets, call this Brown Devil, and it's telling me what it's going to be for the solo of Jump. I actually don't know if it sounds like that. Here's that was Moonish Clean, but it was too long, so I called it Moon Clean, and that is for the pre-chorus. Scribble whatever you want. And here we got an all along the Watchtower sound, and I told myself what happens when you hold the buttons, and then the rest I didn't do anything on. So you can see on the rest the background is green and my font is black. You can, as you can clearly see, change that. So in the global settings, I said my background is green and my text is black. I can also go to dark mode. Oh, it is in dark mode. I can go to light mode, save and close, and then this is light. What do I like? What do I like? I'm gonna go with the dark mode. Okay, display brightness. Well, let's stay in the global settings here for a second. Here are the MIDI settings. You can determine whether the MIDI out is type A or B. That's very important for shit to work. If it's the wrong thing, it won't work. You got global BPM, modes external. We could also do it per preset, which is kind of cool. You know, MIDI clock sending out to your delay. Absolutely possible to do it per preset, or global or no MIDI clock. Clock display type is BPM. You could also have an indicator. And then the MIDI through routing. You can determine the analog MIDI, it's not, the TRS MIDI in is going through to where? USB, Bluetooth, and the same thing for all the MIDI ins. Are they going through or are they not going through? The same with MIDI out. Here, MIDI device channel for the actual scribble is on Omni right now. And you can say whether one of these outputs is sending a program change automatically corresponding to its number. So you wouldn't have to program changes ever, which is a bit of a pain in the ass. Of course you can, but then it's just sending a program change automatically. Interestingly, I already had that done. I'm going to do that on channel 9. And there are continuous controllers to force it to go up and down, blah, 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 blah. We can't go through everything. Switch settings. Right now, the switch mode is preset up and preset down. Up and down, it makes total sense. You could also say, I would like to hold it for preset up and down, which is a little bit safer, or only through MIDI. If you're only changing presets through MIDI, you can't do that on the actual device. You can use the buttons for anything you want. And you can use a hold message, I'm going to show you, for anything you want. Pretty cool, right? So custom trigger messages. You could actually say, if it gets this input, do this. Here are the violin settings for Bluetooth low energy. Right now, it works as the server. They're working on making it work as a client, meaning you could, if that works, you could connect CME, WIDI, Bluetooth devices directly to it. And that means with a little power bank, you could have this in your pocket and click through presets and it would trigger things with Bluetooth. That tiny thing doing that is pretty damn cool. So I'm going to save and close. I'm going to update to device just to check if now my program changes are in effect. It updated. And yes, it is now program changing. Which program changes are, of course, for that pedal did in the app. But again, each device has their own thing. So preset settings. Let's look at presets. We're going to go to this one. So here, just to show you, on long hold, I said I want to change caps, which of course on the pedal you could do by clicking the cap switch. But let's say that was a hidden feature. I could do any kind of thing where you would have to usually go in a menu Now with this, so here are the preset settings. The names you can also do on the main page. The BPM, if you choose BPM by preset. And instead of using the global colors, you can override the main color and the text color, which is what I did. I like visual feedback. So the switch messages, a press message, you could do if it didn't change the programs right now. Because I'm pretty sure, because otherwise you're changing programs. But I did do a hold message. And it says 1 out of 8. You can send 8 messages. And I'm sending on channel 9, controller 15, value 1, which is cap up. And you guessed it right. On the other one, I got cap down. So I could copy this, copy it down here, copy it to another one. I can add a message. And you can see here, you can send pitch bend, note off. You can play notes with that if you wanted to. And you can send program change, which again makes sense. You could hold and send 4 program changes to different devices if you want to. And it's pointless to show you any of this because the possibilities are endless. So you could have this little thing on one of your pedals and you hold or you click and it sends program changes to your whole board, or at least 8 different, or depends on what your MIDI numbers are. But control change, I can say the channel, controller number 40, which is boost on off value 1. Save. So that will change the cap, but also turn the boost on. When it comes in to that preset, it will actually go to program 2. We don't need that anymore because now the presets change automatically to the corresponding number, right? So preset 1 will send program change 1, preset 2, program change 2, which we did in the global settings right here by saying preset MIDI program change outputs and so on. We're pretty much almost done here. There's a brilliant video, it's about half an hour long, from the nice people at Pirate MIDI that explain all this stuff to you if you still have some issues. But this is really how it's done. It's pretty straightforward. Here you can choose aliases. So I could call this UAFX Lion. And I can call this Starlight. This could be my Chase Bliss Brothers. So from then on, they don't show up as MIDI channels. They show up as names. You can export it as a file, but actually, let's go back to the switch settings, hold message. I have to know for my line that it is controller 15 to change the caps, right? Well, let's actually go to something else. Let's go to all along, hold for boost. So we're going to go switch message, hold message. You can see controller 40, value 0 for the left switch will turn the boost off. I hope, I haven't tried. And 1 will turn it on. But I have to look that up. Well, there are other ways to do this because there's a device library. If you, instead of clicking add message, click here and go to device library. And then you don't have to know jack shit, which is really how we like it. Let's see what they got in here. Beatronics, Behringer, Black Country. Really? What device do they have from Black? Oh, okay. Wow. Chase Bliss Audio. It's all here, including the Brothers AM. I mean, they got it freaking all. I mean, these things are made for Chase Bliss, right? Size-wise and everything. So go to Brothers AM, type boost. So, can't even change these things, right? And channel, I'm going to have to go to wherever my Brothers is, let's say 5. If that's even a possibility. It might just be 2 by stand, I don't know. But it automatically filled this stuff in. If I'm going to go to, what else do we have? Engel, what do they have from Engel? Oh, wow. That's cool. Steve Moore's signature. Effects loop 1. Bam! You can control your Engel if you want to. So this is a very, very cool list. And I mean, it's a ridiculously long list. Look at this stuff. They have pretty much everything. Do they already? I mean, I don't think so. It came out 2 weeks ago. Do they already have the UAFX stuff? What do they have from Rev? The D20 and the G20. Nice. I mean, but what do they have in terms of MIDI caps? So you can completely control the whole torpedo that's in there without looking shit up. But as I suspected, not yet the UA stuff, which is, it's gonna come. Its information is public. That's pretty impressive. So for the D1, which is a great pedal, I want to go engage pedal mix. I want to set my mix to 90. If it's on a different channel, go output message to TRS is fine, or all of them. Let's do all of them. Save. And that happens when you're holding it in. So the device library is amazing. It's very, very thorough. This tiny little thing that's on one of my pedals can do that now. All of them can do similar things, different things. They can, if you wanted to just show you shit, right? I mean, it could just be a display of this is the preset. Possibilities are pretty damn ridiculous. I can't show you everything. That's impossible. Back to me. So this is it. The damn thing automatically connected to my Bluetooth, and I can switch it now from my big switcher. Essentially being able to give me displays for all the displayless pedals. At the very least. Super, super easy. It could give me MIDI control from my music stand over Bluetooth. It can give me MIDI control on each pedal as a MIDI controller itself. It can be in between with MIDI in and MIDI out, a USB in, MIDI out. You saw that the through routing is optional to whatever. This is a fully featured MIDI controller for $59, very tiny. Yes, you have to hook it up to the editor, which doesn't do the whole thing live. So whatever you do in the editor, there isn't a live mode and you see your devices clicking. You have to then load it onto the Scribble and start working. If you're not using the USB MIDI, you can program it and then test, program and test, and program and test. If you're actually using USB MIDI, you have to program, pull out, plug in, test, and then back. Okay, but the web editor is very well designed. I have a hunch that the people behind it are doing all this because they're freaking nerds who want better solutions for our guitar community. Yes, they're going to make money with it, hopefully a lot, because it's great. Why are the amps looking like that? But you know what? It's the sun. But as a cave-dwelling hermit, I'm not used to seeing the sun, so I didn't know what I was looking at. That is what the sun looks like. Wow. Hey, Scribble, $59, get one, test it out, then get the 8-pack. That's what I'm saying. Shops could get these. Shops could get these, put them on amps and stuff, and with MIDI, just change, pricing, you'd have to program it to whatever. There's a lot of potential. Yes, they commissioned this video. Yes, that's what they did. Yes, that's my job to say. And I'm totally happy about it because this is a really cool product that many of you are going to love, especially with your UAFX pedals who are so non-transparent in their interface, or your chases, or so many that you saw in the list there, or your angle, put it on top of your angle. We saw that. So much potential. Absolutely awesome. I'll link to the website. Thanks for watching, and animals at the end.